The human, named Jason, stepped cautiously onto the alien planet. The sky was a strange color, a deep violet fading into orange near the horizon, and 3 suns hung in the sky, casting sharp shadows over the jagged rocks and twisting plants. The air smelled faintly metallic yet breathable, and he could hear faint alien bird-like cries echoing from the cliffs. He adjusted his helmet, checked the small scanner on his wrist, and started walking toward a cluster of glowing flora he had spotted from the shuttle. Jason had been exploring alien worlds for years. His missions always involved collecting data, mapping uncharted lands, and sometimes studying rare creatures. But this planet was different. It was controlled by a powerful alien civilization, one humans rarely visited. Jason knew he had to be careful. One wrong step, one wrong gesture, and he could find himself in serious danger. He moved slowly, scanning every plant, every rock formation. His scanner beeped softly. Energy readings, unknown life forms, moderate threat. It whispered. He frowned. Unknown life forms could mean anything, from harmless creatures to deadly predators. He crouched behind a tall, twisted tree-like plant and waited, listening. Suddenly, he heard a rustling behind him. He turned just in time to see a large, 4-legged creature charging at him. Its skin shimmered like liquid metal, and its eyes glowed red. Jason barely had time to react. He rolled to the side, but the creature's clawed paw caught his shoulder. Pain shot through him, and he stumbled forward, falling to the rocky ground. His arm throbbed, and his leg had a deep gash from a sharp stone. Blood seeped through his suit, staining the fabric. Jason gritted his teeth and forced himself to his feet. No, not now, he muttered. He knew he had limited strength left. He had to get out of here, but the creature circled him, growling with a sound that was part roar, part metallic screech. He had no weapon to defend himself except a small stun device that could only hold the creature off for seconds. He aimed and fired, but the creature barely flinched. Jason's thoughts raced. If he stayed, he would die. If he ran, he could fall into worse danger. Desperate, he spotted a narrow ravine ahead and sprinted toward it, ignoring the pain in his shoulder and leg. The creature chased, its claws scraping against the rocks, sparks flying. Jason leaped over a small ledge, his body aching, and slid down into the ravine. He pressed himself against the side, trying to catch his breath. But luck ran out. The ravine ended abruptly in a drop of about 10 meters. Jason looked down. Jagged rocks and a small pool of glowing liquid waited below. One misstep could break every bone in his body. He swallowed hard, then jumped, landing with a painful thud. Pain exploded through his leg, and he cried out. The creature didn't follow. It stopped at the edge, hissing in frustration. Jason lay there for a moment, breathing heavily. Blood ran down his arm and leg, staining the rocky ground. He had survived, but barely. He knew he couldn't stay here. His shuttle was miles away, and the planet's predators would not stop hunting him. Then, he heard another sound, different from the creature's growl. It was soft at first, like the hum of 1,000 voices. Then he realized it was footsteps, many footsteps. Slowly, he looked up and saw them, a patrol of aliens, tall and armored, moving swiftly toward him. Their skin was pale blue, their eyes large and black, and each carried a long shining spear. Jason's heart sank. He had seen pictures of them in intelligence reports. These were the Queen's personal guards, elite warriors, feared across the galaxy. Humans were not welcome here. Any human seen without permission was captured, or worse. He raised his hands in surrender. "Wait! I don't mean any harm!" he shouted. The lead guard paused, tilting his head. Then he motioned to the others. They advanced cautiously, keeping their weapons ready. Jason struggled to stand, his injuries making each movement agony. One guard approached, extending a hand. Jason winced. The touch was surprisingly gentle, but the guard's expression was unreadable. "You, human?" the guard asked, his voice deep and unfamiliar. "Yes," Jason gasped. "I'm an explorer. I didn't know this world was, restricted. I was studying plants." I didn't mean to trespass. The guard's eyes narrowed. He looked at Jason's torn and bloodied clothing, the deep gash on his leg, the bruises forming across his body. He exchanged a glance with the other guards. Then something unexpected happened. They hesitated. Jason noticed. "Please, I just need help," he said, his voice weak. "I can't move far like this." One of the guards spoke, a hiss-like tone that Jason barely understood. The lead guard stepped back, lowering his spear slightly. The others followed. Jason blinked in surprise. They were trained killers, fearless, loyal, and ruthless. Yet now they seemed cautious. Before Jason could ask why, a sound echoed from the cliff above, a sharp, commanding tone that made the guards freeze. Then a figure appeared, a tall, elegant alien with shimmering robes that reflected the light of the suns. Her eyes were deep and purple, and her presence radiated authority. The guards instinctively knelt, lowering their weapons. Jason's pain and exhaustion made him slump forward. "Is that the Queen?" he whispered to himself. The Queen's gaze fell on him. She looked at his injuries, blood, bruises, torn clothing. And for the first time, Jason saw a flicker of something in her expression. Shock? Surprise? He could not tell. The guards who had moments ago been ready to strike were now frozen, their spears dropping slightly as if held by invisible force. Jason tried to rise, but his leg gave way, and he fell to the ground again. "Please, I need help," he murmured. The Queen stepped closer. Her eyes scanned him from head to toe. Then slowly, she raised a hand. "He is injured," she said softly. Her voice carried a calm authority, yet it was laced with curiosity. "Do not touch him with weapons. Bring him to the palace." The guards looked at each other in disbelief. The lead guard's jaw tightened, but he obeyed. He extended a hand to Jason, helping him stand. Jason's body screamed in protest, but he forced himself upright. The Queen's presence made his fear of death shrink, replaced by awe and confusion. As they moved, Jason noticed the guards still watched him, not with hostility but with cautious respect. It was strange. He had faced death in many forms, yet never had anyone, alien or human, hesitated because of him. They moved through the strange alien forest toward the palace, an enormous structure of shining metal and crystal. Its towers reached into the violet sky, and its gates opened like petals. Inside, alien servants and advisors watched the procession, whispering among themselves. Jason felt their eyes on him, but none dared approach. The Queen walked beside him, her eyes never leaving his face. She asked questions, but not about his mission. She asked about his endurance, about how he survived the Predator, about how he managed to stay calm despite injuries that would have killed many. Jason answered honestly, his words slow and measured. Pain flared with every step, but he refused to show weakness. Finally, they reached a large chamber filled with alien technology and soft glowing light. The Queen signaled, and medical specialists arrived. Advanced tools hovered in the air, scanning his wounds and beginning treatment. Jason's pain eased slowly, and for the first time, he could breathe without wincing. The Queen observed silently, her expression unreadable. But Jason noticed a subtle change in her demeanor. Where once there was only authority and control, now there seemed to be interest, curiosity, perhaps even respect. When the medics finished, Jason attempted to stand on his own. The Queen nodded slightly. "You have courage," she said simply. "Many would have died long before reaching this place." Jason smiled weakly. I guess I'm just stubborn," he said. The Queen's lips curved faintly. "Perhaps humans are more than I understood." Jason did not know what she meant. But he realized one thing clearly. Surviving this encounter was only the beginning. Something about her presence, her curiosity, and the unusual reaction of her guards made him certain that his journey on this alien world was about to change. Forever. Outside the chamber, the suns continued their slow dance across the violet sky, and the alien world seemed less threatening and more alive. Jason's injuries were still painful, but for the first time, he felt a spark of hope. He had survived. A predator faced the elite guards of a powerful queen and earned her attention. He did not yet know what lay ahead, but he knew one thing. Humans were not weak, and even on a distant world, far from Earth, courage and resilience could inspire awe in even the most powerful beings. Jason lay on the medical platform as alien doctors moved around him. Strange glowing instruments hovered in the air, scanning his body. Pain radiated from his leg and shoulder, but the alien healing devices worked quickly, closing deep cuts and easing bruises with gentle, glowing energy. It felt strange, different from anything he had ever experienced on Earth, but it was undeniably effective. The Queen stood nearby, observing silently. She was tall, her robes shimmering in soft light and her eyes a deep purple seemed to see everything. Jason noticed she was not just curious, there was something more. Something like caution, perhaps even respect. When the doctors finished, Jason slowly sat up, testing his strength. The Queen stepped forward, her gaze fixed on him. She spoke, her voice calm and melodic, yet commanding enough that the guards who stood behind her did not dare interrupt. "You survived the Predator," she said simply, "and you did so despite injuries that would have killed a lesser being." Jason tried to stand fully, testing his strength. It hurt," he admitted, "but I had to survive. I didn't have another choice." The Queen inclined her head. "You did not surrender even when faced with death. That is unusual for your kind." Jason blinked. "My kind?" he asked cautiously. "Humans, we are resilient. We find ways to survive even in dangerous situations. That's what we do." The Queen's expression did not change, but her eyes lingered on him. "I have studied many species. Some are intelligent, some are strong, some are fast. But very few show the combination of endurance, intelligence, and calm under threat that you display." Jason felt a spark of pride but hid it behind a modest shrug. "I was just lucky," he said. "I didn't plan any of this." The Queen's gaze softened almost imperceptibly. "Luck can only carry one so far. Courage, endurance, these are choices. You chose to face danger rather than flee. That makes you exceptional." The guards behind her remained tense. They had seen countless creatures injured, many more than Jason, yet they had never seen a visitor survive this way. Their respect, though unspoken, was growing. Even the lead guard, usually cold and unyielding, glanced at Jason with something like admiration. Jason's leg ached sharply and he winced. The Queen noticed immediately. "You require rest," she said. "Your body has been tested beyond normal limits. You will remain here until fully recovered." He hesitated. I don't want to be a prisoner. I came to explore, not to be held here." The Queen tilted her head slightly. "You are not a prisoner. You are under protection and observation." Her voice carried no threat, only firm authority. "To leave now would be dangerous. You are not yet prepared to face what exists on this world alone." Jason swallowed hard. He had faced danger before, but something about her tone, firm yet fair, made him nod. "I understand," he said quietly. The Queen gestured and one of the guards stepped forward. "Show him to quarters," she commanded. "Ensure he is comfortable. No harm is to come to him." The guard nodded, still visibly uneasy. He extended his hand to Jason, helping him rise. Jason's muscles protested, but he stood with effort. The Queen watched him silently as they walked through the palace corridors. The palace was immense, filled with alien architecture he could barely comprehend. Light flowed along curved walls, creating patterns that seemed alive. Strange symbols glowed faintly along the floor, and alien attendants moved silently, bowing as they passed. Jason tried to absorb everything, his mind buzzing with awe and wonder. Finally, they reached a room. It was simple but elegant, with soft lighting, large windows looking out over the alien city, and a bed that automatically adjusted to his size. The guard helped him settle in. "Rest now," he said. "Do not move too quickly." Jason nodded, grateful for the quiet moment. But even as he lay back, he knew he was being watched. Not in a threatening way, but with curiosity. The Queen wanted to understand him, or perhaps something more. Later, the Queen herself entered. She walked slowly, as if studying him with each step. Jason sat up slightly. You recover quickly, she said, her tone still calm. Tell me, how do humans endure such pain and continue forward? Many species cannot survive even a fraction of what you have faced. Jason hesitated, unsure how to answer. He could not tell her about human training, survival instincts, or how much fear humans hide from others. Instead, he spoke simply. We don't give up. We try, we keep moving. Even when things hurt, even when the odds are against us, we find ways to survive, and we find ways to help each other. The Queen considered this. Help each other. That is admirable. Many species are only concerned with survival of self, not of others. Your species, perhaps there is more to it than I understood. Jason felt a mixture of surprise and hope. We believe life is worth protecting, even if it's difficult, even if it's dangerous. That's how we survive. For a long moment, the Queen said nothing. Then she spoke again, quietly, almost to herself. Perhaps humans are stronger than we believed. Not just physically, but in spirit. Jason's heart skipped a beat. He had never imagined an alien queen would speak like that about humans. Respect from one human was one thing, but from the ruler of an alien world it was extraordinary. The Queen stepped closer. You will remain here under watch until fully recovered. After that, I will decide your fate. Jason nodded. I accept that. He did not fully understand why, but something about her presence made him trust her. The days passed slowly. The alien medics continued their treatments, and Jason gradually regained strength. He learned to walk without pain, though his shoulder still ached when he moved too quickly. The Queen visited often, sometimes silently observing, sometimes asking questions. She asked about Earth, about humans, about his life before coming to this world. Jason answered honestly, careful not to reveal anything that might endanger his mission. One day, the Queen asked, Do humans fear death? Jason thought carefully. Yes, and we fear it. But we also accept it. We know it is part of life. That fear doesn't stop us from acting. It makes us careful, and it makes us value what we protect. The Queen nodded slowly. Interesting. To act despite fear. That is not common among other species. Jason smiled faintly. It takes practice. We learn to control fear, to use it instead of letting it control us. She studied him quietly, then turned to leave. You are different. I will observe you further. Your resilience may be of great value. Jason lay back on the bed, thinking about her words. Value? He had not come to this world seeking praise or importance. He only wanted to explore, to learn. Yet here he was, lying in an alien palace, recovering from injuries that might have killed him and being respected. The thought was almost unbelievable. The guards, who had once been tense and suspicious, now treated him with cautious courtesy. They brought him food, helped him walk, and occasionally stood silently nearby, watching his progress. Jason noticed that they no longer seemed ready to strike at the slightest movement. Instead, there was a quiet acknowledgement in their eyes. This human was not ordinary. One evening, as the suns began to set, casting long shadows across the palace, Jason stood by a large window looking out at the alien city. He could see towers reaching into the sky, ships moving silently between them, and crowds of alien citizens moving below. The Queen appeared beside him, her presence quiet but strong. You watch your world carefully, she said softly. Jason glanced at her. It's amazing. So different from Earth, but I think, even here, life is precious. Even here, there is value in survival. The Queen nodded. You are brave, human, perhaps braver than many of my own kind. I do not yet understand you fully, but I wish to. Jason smiled faintly. Then I will stay until you understand. I will show you what humans are capable of. The Queen regarded him for a long moment, her eyes unreadable. Then she turned and walked away, leaving Jason to gaze out at the city. He felt a strange mixture of exhaustion, pride, and anticipation. He had survived predators, alien guards, and a strange, powerful Queen's judgment. Yet he knew this was only the beginning. For the first time, he realized something important. Humans were not just survivors. They were capable of inspiring awe, respect, and even trust in species far stronger and older than themselves. And on this alien world, he was about to prove it. The sun set completely, leaving a soft violet twilight over the city. Jason's wounds were healed. His body rested and his mind was alert. The alien world had tested him, but he had endured. And as he prepared for the days ahead, he felt a quiet confidence grow inside him. no matter what challenges this alien world held. No matter how dangerous the creatures or the politics, he knew one truth. Humans never gave up. And that truth would soon be tested, in ways he could not yet imagine. Jason had recovered from his injuries, but he was far from comfortable. The Queen's palace was vast, and every hallway, every chamber, felt alive with curiosity and observation. He sensed eyes watching him at all times, not in a threatening way, but with an intensity that made him both cautious and alert. Even the guards, once cold and suspicious, now seemed respectful. Yet their respect came with wariness. Humans were rare here, and he had already proven that he was not ordinary. The Queen had begun to observe him more closely. She had a way of appearing silently, watching his movements, noting every decision he made. Jason felt the weight of her attention, but instead of fear, it inspired him to do better. He had survived predators, navigated alien terrain, and endured her guards' initial suspicion. Now it was time to see if he could survive her tests. It began with small challenges. One morning, a group of palace attendants led him through a series of corridors he had never seen before. The walls were lined with panels of glowing symbols. Some were doors. Others were holographic screens projecting strange patterns. Jason had to navigate carefully, following subtle hints embedded in the light and symbols. One wrong step, he realized, could trigger a security mechanism. As he moved, he noticed small, seemingly harmless obstacles, floor panels that would tilt, narrow walkways over deep pits, automated mechanical arms that swung silently at unpredictable intervals. Each challenge tested not only his agility, but his patience and awareness. Jason focused on each movement, observing patterns, anticipating dangers, and timing his steps perfectly. The human's reputation for quick thinking and adaptability was already proving true. The Queen watched from a high balcony, her eyes fixed on him. A faint smile curved her lips. "He learns quickly," she murmured, "and he adapts even faster. Most creatures would fail after the first challenge." Jason reached the final chamber of the trial. A large open space with a glowing energy grid covered the floor. The lights shifted constantly, creating a maze of safe and dangerous paths. He could feel the faint hum of power beneath his feet, a pulse that warned of the deadly energy beneath the surface. He took a deep breath, focusing his mind. Step by step, he moved across, carefully observing the patterns, predicting the shifts, and adjusting his movements. Finally, he reached the other side without triggering a single trap. He exhaled, exhausted but triumphant. The Queen's faint applause echoed through the chamber. It was the first verbal acknowledgement he had received from her. "You are careful and intelligent," she said. "Many would rush and fail. You observe, you think, you act." "That is rare," Jason nodded, still catching his breath. "Thank you. Your methods are very precise. I had to focus completely." The Queen inclined her head. "Good, that's what I wish to see. Intelligence paired with endurance, you are unusual among humans." For the next several days, the tests grew more complex. One trial involved navigating a series of platforms suspended over a glowing liquid. If he fell, he would be trapped for hours, possibly injured again. Jason had to jump, balance, and time his steps perfectly. Each attempt challenged his body and mind, but he persevered, refusing to give up even when fatigue burned through him. Another test involved alien creatures, small, aggressive, and highly intelligent. Jason had to move among them without provoking attack. He studied their behavior, noticing subtle signs of aggression, reading their body language, and moving with caution. Slowly, he guided them away from certain areas, earning the approval of the Queen's advisors who observed quietly. Through these trials, Jason learned something surprising about the palace. It was not merely a home for the Queen, it was a test in itself. Every hallway, every chamber, every creature had been arranged to examine the visitors. And the Queen was not just watching, she was learning. She wanted to understand his species through his actions, through his courage and intellect. One evening, after another exhausting day of tests, Jason found himself in a quiet courtyard filled with bioluminescent plants. The soft glow bathed the area in gentle light, and the alien city beyond shimmered in the distance. He sat on a low stone bench rubbing his sore muscles when the Queen appeared silently behind him. "You endure much," she said. Her voice was calm, but there was a faint tone of curiosity that Jason could not ignore. I have to," he replied. "I can't fail. I've come this far. I have to show. Humans can endure, humans can adapt, humans can survive." The Queen studied him for a long moment, You are brave. You do not flee danger even when it is near. You do not complain even when pain is present. Many species would not last a day in your situation. You are remarkable. Human. Jason felt a flush of pride but tried to hide it behind a modest expression. I'm just trying to do my best. The Queen inclined her head. Perhaps. But sometimes the best is not enough. One must also inspire others, influence others. And you are beginning to do so even without knowing it. Jason looked at her puzzled. Influence others? I don't understand. She gestured toward the courtyard. Several of the Queen's guards stood at a distance watching him silently. Even they, who once feared you, now hesitate before acting. They watch you carefully, respect you. You do not know it, but you are changing their perception of your kind. Jason considered this. Humans were not typically respected on this planet. To think that he, a single human, could earn the cautious respect of the Queen's guards. It was humbling, and yet he realized she was right. His actions, calmness, courage, and intelligence had not gone unnoticed. The Queen stepped closer. You have another test tomorrow. It will be more dangerous. You will face creatures and challenges that even my warriors approach with caution. Are you ready? Jason nodded firmly. I will do whatever it takes. I want to show you what humans are capable of. The Queen studied him silently for a moment. Then, without another word, she turned and disappeared into the shadows of the palace corridors, leaving Jason alone with his thoughts. The next day, the true test began. The Queen led him to a massive arena, open to the sky where creatures unlike anything Jason had ever seen roamed. Towering beasts with armored hides, sharp claws, and glowing eyes prowled the area. The arena floor shifted constantly, creating uneven terrain, pools of glowing liquid, and sudden pits that opened and closed. Jason's heart pounded, but he forced himself to focus. He had trained for situations like this, though never like this. He observed the creatures, noting their movements, predicting attacks, and planning his path carefully. A horn sounded, and the creatures lunged. Jason dodged, leaped, and ran, using his intelligence to guide him safely. He did not rely on brute strength alone. He observed, adapted, and acted with precision. Every time a creature attacked, he anticipated its movement, avoiding injury and maintaining his momentum. The Queen watched from the stands, her expression unreadable. Yet Jason sensed a growing curiosity, perhaps even admiration. He could feel the tension in the air. The guards, the advisors, the attendants, all silently waiting to see if he would fail. Hours passed, though it felt like minutes. Jason moved with careful strategy, balancing courage with caution. Fatigue pressed on him, but he refused to stop. Every step, every leap, every dodge was a demonstration of human resilience and intelligence. Finally, the creatures were herded safely into containment, and Jason stood in the arena, breathing heavily, battered but unbroken. The Queen rose from her seat, her eyes fixed on him. You endure more than most could imagine, she said, her voice carrying across the arena. You are unlike any other human I have studied. Your courage, your intelligence, your endurance, it is exceptional. Jason bowed slightly, exhausted but proud. I only did what I had to. I couldn't fail. The Queen nodded. And that is why you will be observed further. You have proven that humans are not merely survivors, but beings capable of inspiring courage, respect, and loyalty. Your presence here is enlightening. Jason smiled faintly, feeling a spark of hope. He had faced the Queen's trials, her creatures, and her challenges, and he had survived. Not just physically, but in a way that earned her attention and perhaps her trust. As the suns began to set, painting the arena in soft violet light, Jason realized something important. This world, this Queen, this palace, it was testing him not to destroy him, but to understand him, to see what humans were capable of. And he was determined to prove that humans were more than the aliens could imagine. Even in the heart of a distant alien civilization, far from Earth, Jason felt one truth deep in his soul. Humans never gave up. Humans adapted. Humans endured. And humans could inspire respect even among the most powerful beings in the galaxy. And tomorrow, the Queen would test him again. Jason had survived the Queen's physical and mental trials, yet he knew his journey was far from over. The palace, though beautiful and filled with wonder, was also a center of alien politics, a complex web of alliances, rivalries, and careful observation. Not everyone welcomed him. Some members of the Queen's Council whispered in dark corners, questioning why a human had been allowed to survive, let alone gain her attention. One morning, Jason was summoned to a council chamber. The room was enormous, circular, with high ceilings that seemed to disappear into soft, glowing light. Around the chamber, the Queen's advisors and council members sat, each in elaborate chairs that matched their rank and status. They were all tall, graceful, and intelligent, but their expressions were wary, some skeptical, some openly hostile. The Queen entered last, her presence commanding silence. Jason bowed respectfully, though he noticed the council members did not. Their gazes were sharp, assessing him as if he were an alien creature under trial. "You know why you are here," the Queen said, her voice calm but firm. "Some members of my council have questions regarding your presence on this world. You will answer them honestly." Jason straightened, keeping his composure. "I understand. I came to explore. I meant no harm. I followed the laws I knew, but I may have unintentionally crossed your boundaries." One council member, tall and thin with dark blue skin, spoke sharply. "You are a human. Your kind is rare and unpredictable. Why should we trust you? Why should you be allowed to live among us freely?" Jason met his gaze steadily. "I survived predators, dangerous terrain, and the challenges you set before me. I did not act with violence or deception. I followed my instincts and judgment. That is all I can do. I hope my actions show that humans are capable of more than you expect." Another council member with shimmering silver skin leaned forward. "Yet you are only one human. How can we know your entire species is worthy of trust? Perhaps your survival was luck, not ability." Jason smiled faintly. "Luck can only take you so far. Humans learn, adapt, and endure. I survived not because of luck, but because I observe, think, and act carefully. If you want proof of what humans are capable, I will continue to show it. Not just with words, but with actions." The council murmured among themselves. The Queen raised a hand, silencing the room. "Enough. He speaks truthfully, and he has proven it. Your fears are understandable, but he is here under my protection and guidance. He is not a threat, yet he is teaching us something we have not seen before." Jason felt a mixture of relief and tension. The Queen's words protected him, but he knew the council's doubts were not gone. They would continue to watch, continue to test him in ways he could not predict. After the meeting, the Queen escorted him through the palace gardens. The alien flora glowed softly, and pools of water reflected the multiple suns overhead. Jason's leg and shoulder were fully healed now, but he remained careful, knowing the Queen's observation was constant. "You handled the council well," the Queen said. Her voice was quiet, almost thoughtful. "You did not react with fear or anger. That is unusual. Many creatures would have cowered or lashed out." Jason shrugged. "I learned early that showing fear or anger does not help. You must stay calm, think clearly, and act wisely. Even when others doubt you, you can influence them if you stay steady." The Queen's eyes softened slightly. "Yes, and that is what you are doing. Even my council members who questioned you openly are beginning to see potential where they once saw only danger. You are remarkable." The next test was not physical, it was political. A sudden crisis erupted in the city below. A massive transport vessel carrying essential supplies for the palace had broken down, blocking the main landing area. The Queen's guards were unsure how to resolve it quickly, and the council members argued about whose responsibility it was. Jason observed silently. He had never been involved in alien politics before, but he could see a clear solution. The problem required a combination of intelligence, quick action, and calm leadership, exactly what humans excel at. He stepped forward. "I may be able to help," he said. "If you allow me, I can analyze the problem and suggest a way to move the vessel without damaging it or delaying the supply route." The council murmured, some skeptical, others intrigued. The Queen nodded slightly. "You may proceed. Show us your method." Jason knelt beside a holographic display the guards provided, quickly scanning the transport vessel's dimensions, the terrain, and the gravitational fields affecting it. He suggested a sequence of movements, leveraging the palace's energy fields to lift the vessel slowly while avoiding obstacles. The guards were hesitant, but he guided them patiently, explaining each step. To everyone's astonishment, the plan worked. The massive vessel floated above the ground, gently shifted, and cleared the landing zone without incident. The council members who had doubted him moments before stared in surprise and admiration. Even the Queen's elite guards nodded in quiet acknowledgement. "You solved what we thought impossible," one council member said softly, unable to hide his respect. Jason smiled faintly. "Humans are problem solvers. We find ways to overcome obstacles, even when others think it cannot be done." The Queen's lips curved in a faint smile. "You are teaching us more than survival. You are teaching us ingenuity, courage, and calmness under pressure. That is rare among any species." The following days brought more tests of intelligence and character. Jason was asked to mediate disputes among alien citizens, advise on strategies for environmental hazards, and assist in designing solutions for palace systems. Each time he approached the problems logically, using observation and reasoning rather than force. Slowly, the Queen's world began to see him not as a human outsider, but as an ally, a problem solver, and a source of inspiration. One afternoon, disaster struck. A rare storm swept over the city, tearing at buildings and threatening the lives of residents. Jason saw the danger and acted immediately. He directed guards and palace attendants, coordinating rescue efforts and using his knowledge of strategy to ensure everyone reached safety. Even the Queen's elite warriors, who had never faced such chaos, followed his guidance. When the storm finally passed, the Queen arrived at the scene. She saw the destruction, the recovery efforts, and the calm way Jason had led the response. Her guards, who had once eyed him with suspicion, now looked at him with respect. "You risked yourself to save others," she said quietly. "Not just yourself, not just the palace, but the citizens of this city. That is extraordinary." Jason shook his head. "I did what anyone should do. Life is worth protecting. That is how humans survive. We value life, even when it is difficult or dangerous." The Queen studied him for a long moment. "Humans, you are different than I imagined. Strength is not just physical. Courage is not just bravery. Compassion, intelligence, and resilience. These make your kind remarkable. You are teaching us what it means to endure and inspire." The council members who had once doubted him now nodded quietly. Some whispered among themselves, acknowledging that humans were not the weak, fragile species they had assumed. The Queen's influence, combined with Jason's actions, had shifted the perception of an entire civilization. That night, as Jason rested in his quarters, he thought about everything he had experienced. From being injured by a predator, captured by elite guards, and tested by the Queen, to navigating politics, solving crises, and saving lives, he realized humans were capable of far more than he had imagined. Even on an alien world, among creatures vastly stronger and smarter than himself, he had proven that courage, intelligence, and ingenuity could overcome fear and doubt. Humans were not just survivors, they were capable of inspiring respect, trust, and even admiration. And as he looked out over the glowing alien city, Jason knew that the final test was yet to come. The Queen's attention had shifted from curiosity to expectation. She had seen his strength, his mind, and his compassion. Now she wanted to know just how far a human could go. Jason smiled faintly, feeling a quiet confidence grow inside him. No matter what challenges awaited, physical trials, political intrigue, or alien skepticism, he knew one thing: humans never gave up. Humans adapted, humans endured, and humans could teach even the most powerful beings in the galaxy a lesson in courage, ingenuity, and heart. The sun set, casting violet and orange hues over the palace. Jason's mind was ready. The Queen's tests were far from over, but he had already proven that humans were a force not to be underestimated. Tomorrow, he would face the ultimate trial, one that would test not just his strength or intelligence, but his ability to inspire and lead. And he was ready. The next day, Jason awoke early. Today was different. The Queen had summoned him not for tests of skill or intelligence, but for something greater, a challenge that would prove not only his strength in mind, but also the human spirit itself. He was escorted to a grand observation chamber overlooking the city. The air hummed with tension. Citizens, guards, and council members gathered below, watching silently. The Queen appeared beside him, her presence calm yet commanding. Her eyes held a rare intensity, an expectation that Jason could not ignore. "There is danger approaching," she said, her voice steady. A rogue fleet from another star system seeks to capture this city. They are strong, and they will not yield easily. Your task is not to fight them with brute force, but to show your worth, to inspire courage, and to lead. Jason's heart raced. Humans had faced overwhelming odds before, but this was different. He was not alone. But he was expected to lead beings who had never encountered humans before. The weight of responsibility pressed on him, yet he felt the familiar spark of determination. "I understand," he said. "Tell me what you need and I will do it." The Queen gestured and a holographic display appeared showing the incoming fleet. Ships larger than any human vessel, sleek and deadly, were approaching the city's perimeter. Jason studied the map carefully, noting the positions of the city's defenses, energy shields, and patrol units. The aliens' technology was impressive, but Jason quickly realized that their tactics were predictable. They relied on intimidation, formation, and overwhelming force. He spoke to the Queen and her advisors. "We cannot match them ship for ship, but we can use the city's layout and energy systems to our advantage. If we divide their attention, force them into predictable paths, and coordinate our defenses, we can neutralize their strength. We need to act quickly, communicate clearly, and stay united." The Queen observed him silently. Then she nodded. "Lead, human. Show us your way." Jason took a deep breath. He moved among the palace guards and citizens, giving clear, calm instructions. His voice carried authority, yet he never demanded obedience. He explained his strategy simply. Use energy barriers to funnel the enemy ships, guide city patrols to cut off supply lines, and use surprise attacks to create confusion. Humans had long used strategy and coordination in warfare, and Jason's ability to think several steps ahead was apparent to everyone. The first enemy ships reached the city perimeter. Their weapons fired, shaking the ground, but the energy barriers Jason had calculated absorbed the blasts. Citizens and guards moved as he instructed, following his guidance with trust growing in every action. Jason's calm, methodical approach inspired confidence. Even the Queen's elite guards, once cautious and wary of him, followed his lead without hesitation. Ships moved into the city's traps. Jason's predictions were correct. The enemy's formations broke under coordinated attacks. The humans' ingenuity had taught him to anticipate actions, and he applied the same logic here. Every time the enemy tried to regroup, Jason had already anticipated it, redirecting city defenses to maintain the upper hand. Hours passed, but the tide of battle slowly shifted. The enemy fleet, confident at first, began to falter. Jason moved quickly, analyzing patterns, giving precise instructions, and keeping morale high. Every citizen, guard, and soldier followed his guidance, relying on his calm confidence. From the observation chamber, the Queen watched in silence. Her eyes, usually unreadable, reflected something rare: admiration. Jason, a single human, had coordinated a defense that even her most experienced advisors had doubted. He had taken alien forces far stronger and turned them into allies through strategy, courage, and clear thinking. One of the enemy commanders attempted a bold maneuver, breaking through the defenses near the city's central hub. Jason's mind worked rapidly. He calculated a counter-strategy, using energy conduits to block their path and small squads to flank the enemy ships. The maneuver worked perfectly, trapping the rogue commander without casualties. The city erupted in cheers. Citizens, guards, and even the council members recognized Jason's brilliance. His calm courage, sharp intellect, and leadership had turned what could have been disaster into victory. When the last enemy ship retreated into the distance, the Queen stepped forward. Her presence filled the chamber as she spoke, her voice echoing with authority and respect. "You have done what I did not expect. You have led creatures unfamiliar with your ways, faced a fleet that could have destroyed this city and succeeded, not with brute strength, but with courage, intelligence, and unity. You have shown us the true power of humanity." Jason bowed slightly, exhausted but proud. "I only did what humans do. We face danger, think carefully, and never give up. That is all I can offer." The Queen's eyes softened. "It is more than enough. You have not only survived, but earned trust, respect, and admiration. The city, the council, and my guards. They all see it now. Humans are capable of much more than we believed." Council members, who had once doubted him, now approached with cautious reverence. They bowed in acknowledgement. The elite guards, who had feared and mistrusted him, now regarded him as an equal, even a teacher. Jason had earned their respect not through power or threat, but through resilience, ingenuity, and the willingness to act selflessly. The Queen stepped closer. Your trials are over, Jason. You have proven not only your own strength, but the potential of your species. You have earned your place here, not as a guest, but as someone worthy of respect, trust, and recognition. Jason felt a warmth of pride, yet he remained humble. I thank you. I only acted as I knew how. I hope that humans can continue to inspire even far from Earth. The Queen nodded. They will. And you have shown us that courage, intelligence, and compassion are not bound to one species. You have changed the way my people view your kind. That is a legacy few achieve. Over the following days, the city celebrated. Jason was no longer merely a visitor. He was an honored figure, respected by citizens, guards, and council alike. His actions had not only saved the city, but had shifted the perception of humans across an entire alien civilization. The Queen's attention remained, but now it carried not only curiosity, but admiration and trust. One evening, as Jason walked through the palace gardens, the Queen appeared beside him. You have done more than survive, Jason, she said softly. You have inspired. You have led. You have proven that humans are capable of greatness even among the stars. Jason smiled faintly. I only acted as humans do. We endure, we think, and we never give up. That is all. The Queen regarded him for a long moment. It is enough. More than enough. You have shown strength, wisdom, and heart. You have changed not only my perception, but the perception of everyone who doubted. You have earned a place of honor among us. Jason felt a rare sense of peace. He had faced predators, survived alien tests, navigated political intrigue, and led a city to safety. Through every trial, he had relied on human qualities: courage, intelligence, resilience, and compassion. And through it all, he had earned respect where it had once seemed impossible. The sun set over the alien city, casting soft violet and orange hues across the palace. Jason looked out at the skyline, reflecting on his journey. He had come as a visitor, injured and unsure, and now he stood as a symbol of humanity's potential. Even far from Earth, humans could endure, inspire, and achieve the extraordinary. The Queen stood beside him quietly. There is one thing left, she said. You have earned respect, but more importantly, you have earned a bond with this world. Not all visitors achieve this. You have done more than survive. You have made a difference. Jason nodded. I only hope humans continue to show what we are capable of: courage, endurance, and heart. That is our way. The Queen's lips curved in a faint smile. Yes, your way is worth learning. Perhaps together we will see what humans and this world can accomplish. As night fell and the stars shimmered above the alien city, Jason realized something profound. Survival was not the only measure of strength. Courage, intelligence, leadership, and compassion could create change far greater than brute force. He had faced the unknown, endured hardship, and inspired trust and respect among an alien civilization. Humans were not just survivors, they were a force capable of greatness, even among the stars. And as he stood beside the Queen, looking out at the city he had helped save, Jason knew one truth with certainty. Humans could endure, adapt, and inspire in ways no one could have imagined. Even in the vastness of space far from Earth, their spirit could leave a mark that would never be forgotten. For Jason, the trials were over, but the legacy of humanity had only just begun.